it's funny. Like, yeah, when we did Harbinger, it was like we got the car keys, and now with Kingdom Undone, we can go to the bar finally and drink. Next record, we're gonna be graduating college, and then on the record after that, we're gonna be having kids about it.
Ghost Cult Magazine welcomes in Jamison of Arrival of Autumn. How you doing, man?
I'm fantastic, my man. How are you doing?
I'm great, man. Happy to have you in with us today.
Dude.
So, your new record, Kingdom Undone. This is your third record since 2014. For people who don't really know you guys that well, I know you guys are from Canada. Just give us the quick comic book origin of Arrival of Autumn.
All right, yeah, we all met when we were teenagers. We didn't go to the same school or anything. We just kind of met coincidentally. Brendan and I were neighbors. We started playing guitar together, and then I was in some thrash band in town as the bass player, and Ty, our drummer, put out an ad looking for a band. Very Lars Ulrich of him, and so we recruited him in that thrash band, and then him and I quit that band and teamed up with Brendan and started AOA back in 2011.
So, rest is history.
We've gone through 4 or 5 bass players now. So Brendan and Ty and I are very hard to handle. Like, we all rub each other the right way, but we rub everyone else the wrong way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think Ryan, your other guitar player, Ryan, is another guy who could just like keep up with you guys.
Yes, yes. He also rubs us the right way, and he's been in the band since 2017.
So now you guys have a new bass player from the last time, Liam Frith.
Yeah, yeah. Liam's the boy. He was in his band is Becomes Astral. We met and toured with them. We met him in, I don't know, 2017. We toured with Becomes Astral in 2018. And then when we needed a new bass player for the new album, we asked him if he'd want to join the band, and he did. So now he's our boy.
Yeah, you guys had a fill-in guy for a little while too before.
Yeah, Colin, local legend. He played a few shows for us and saved our butts for a bit there. Yeah. We've had Tyler, Chris, Josh, Jeremy, Kevin, Colin, Liam. We've had 8 bass players. Is that 8? I lost
Yeah,
count while I was saying it. That's a lot of bass players.
somebody'll tell us if we're wrong or not.
Yep. We've had some bass players.
Yeah, I vaguely know Liam from Altered Beast.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Like I've seen them once or twice because I knew the original singer. So like I was like, oh wait a minute, he was in this band.
Yeah, he's also been playing in Flub for quite a few years.
Yeah, he gets around.
Yeah, he's a slutty bass player.
So now working with another bass player, how does that impact your writing process?
It was written by the time he came into the studio, but he added some flair. You know, he's a good player. He's a creative little dude. So the last track on the album, the outro, has some really fun shit that he added in, and he's got some flair on the new record. Definitely some Liam in there.
I was always curious, where'd you guys come up with the name?
We stole it from an Opeth song, "Demon of the Fall." It's a lyric. Something awaits the arrival of autumn, something something. And then, we liked it. It creates a picture of, you know, death and decay, very emo.
For a bunch of young kids, you guys don't look as emo as you used to.
No, not as much as we used to.
Yeah,
Considering dyeing the hair again, I wouldn't like do the swoop, but just to dye it black again would be just,
I saw those soup photos. That was something.
yeah. Oh, but I could actually go full cringe and combine the swoop with the beard, the big full beard with the swoop hair. That's like peak, you're too old for this dude shit. Like,
Halloween is coming,
yeah,
so there you
the
go.
best costume is who you really want to be,
Yeah. So you recorded this new record, I guess, down in Florida with Mark Lewis. This is your second time working with him, I believe.
So we recorded it just right here in this room at my house. The way it was going in 2021 was if we went to the States and came back home, we would basically have to self-quarantine for 2 weeks before we could go back to work. So it didn't make sense for all of us to have to take that much time off, and financially it wasn't going to work. So instead, we snuck him into Canada. It was all, he flew in, he went through customs. He came up here and we recorded everything except the drums right here in our home studio. We just called it Arrival of Autumn Studios and made it work that way. So he spent like 5 weeks or something up here and made the magic happen. And then the time before that, we worked with Jason Sukoff, but Mark Lewis was working at Audio Hammer at the time. That's how we met him. And it just so happened that he was willing to, spend 5 weeks in the middle of nowhere, Canada with us. So we were like, all right, let's do the record, man. And I mean, his work too, like his caliber. He was definitely, our guy.
What made you want to work with Mark Lewis?
His portfolio, he's done so much great work. We'd already met him before and hung out with him. We knew that we had chemistry with him. He's a good hang. So we knew that it wasn't going to be an uncomfortable situation, that, he'd be all right just goofing off, doing work, and be a good time to work with.
So with the new record, Kingdom Undone, I'm guessing you guys started working on this in the before times during the pandemic?
Yeah.
How much did this change your writing process?
It was the first time we started writing a record while we were on tour. Most of the demos were written while we were out in 2019 with Soulfly and In Flames. And then when we came back, we just kept, once all the tours got canceled, we just kept chipping away at it. Decided to take a break from the album to do the Bark at the Moon cover, which, only took a month of our time or so. And then at the start of 2021, we were like, you know what? We don't know what's going to happen, but we do know we've got 10 songs here that are ready to go to the next level, and we're ready to cut a record. So then we started planning with Mark and figuring out how to make that happen. So we were able to write it for like almost 2 years before we started working on it in the studio.
That's a good benefit.
It is, yeah. I've got like 3 versions of the record on my computer right now. I've got the demos, I've got the pre-pro, because basically we went back and re-recorded all the songs before Mark came up. So I've got the demos, I've got the pre-pro, and then I've got the final cut. And they're all just slightly better. It's great. It's funny to look back and be like, holy shit, how did that demo turn into that song? Like, sometimes you just forget where you started with a project by the time you're done with it, because you work on it for so long. And yeah, it's funny to go back. I'd love to be able to hear the demos for, a lot of my favorite bands' records. Like, you got to wonder what like a Gojira demo sounds like compared to the final thing. It's just nerd shit.
Yeah, like what did it take for you to get signed? You guys came from this to that. That'd be an interesting thing to hear. Like here's
Definitely.
baby Gojira to
Yeah.
adult Gojira.
Yeah.
And now I feel like this is like your adulthood for you guys with Kingdom Undone. You sound more confident on this record. You sounded confident
Definitely.
before, but you sound more like hungry and like you were ready. Like yeah, you came in prepared for this record.
I'm ready to play with the best of them, like I'm ready to go up against the Will Ramos and the fucking the best of them, He's the best right now. um and yeah, that's right. Yeah, like it's funny. Like, yeah, when we did Harbinger, it was like we got the car keys, and now with Kingdom Undone, we can go to the bar finally and drink. You know, Next record we're gonna be graduating college, and then on the fucking record after that, we're gonna be having kids about it.
I'm big into sequencing. It's like I like just order because in a world of singles, there's something to be said that an album keeps your interest the whole way through. And I thought you guys did a very good job with that.
All right, I'll take credit for that. Yeah, I came up with the order of the tracks for the record, and I agree. It needs to be something that keeps you wanting to listen. You got to make it to the end. TikTok attention spans go against that, and I don't know how many people actually do front to back records these days. I know I still do, but I'm fucking almost 30. I'm old. Just taking a little shot at you, you old bastard.
Back in my day, you know what? I saw the Ramones.
Yeah.
I saw Pantera. I saw everybody else you wish you did, Youngblood.
Dude, seriously.
Let's talk about your cover artists. Like your last 2 records, like this cover, like I just love this orange and red, like judgment type
Yeah.
just carrying weight. Whose idea was it for the cover?
I think it came from it was a collaboration between totally blanking. His name's Kevin. He did the Harbinger cover. Soft Surrogate is his professional name. And it was a collaboration between him and Travis Smith. And then Travis Smith ended up finalizing the concept and making the piece. Travis Smith, of course,
The legend.
did yeah.
The legend.
Sound of Perseverance, Avenged Sevenfold Nightmare,
And
lots of great stuff.
a bunch of Overkill records.
Yeah, uh,
A
Devin
lot.
Townsend, Addicted. That's a great cover.
Yeah.
The crayons, yeah.
Yeah. I know him from I know him. He's done a few comic book covers too. Like
Oh, cool.
in the late 90s, early 2000s. His art he's fantastic.
Yeah, he
Testament.
really is,
Yeah.
and,
He
to
became like the
have
death metal guy for the longest. He's like, "Oh,
yeah,
you're the guy who does all the cool 90s death metal, late 90s death metal guy."
yeah, exactly, and, yeah, the piece he came for us or came up with for us, uh, stands with the best of his work, and I I love it. I'm so excited with how it came out.
It's very poster-esque, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we had him set up in Brooklyn, the big scrims for the stage. They're like 6 by 6 feet of just the fucking album cover, and they're gorgeous. I think we should make blankets as a merch item. You just wanna wrap yourself up in that scary looking motherfucker, you know?
I think that would be a good sell.
Be tight.
By the time we get it mass produced, it'd be just in time for winter again, and it'll be like, yes,
Exactly. Yeah, if we think about this now, we're ready.
yeah.
Another merch push 6 months from now.
Always thinking with that for that dollar. Hmm.
Imagine if we used 100% of the brain.
Whoa, man! If Limitless was for real, like I'll take that pill in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah, even if it was a suppository.
Like this is gonna work, right? All right. So you guys are up in Canada. What's the scene like in your area?
We so we live 5 hours away from the capital of Alberta in the middle of nowhere. There's not much of a scene here. There's a few metal bands in the city, but you know, they don't want to overplay it, so there's a show about every 4 to 6 months. But Alberta as a whole has a very active music scene, metal, hardcore, punk. We've seen bands come and go over the last decade, and there's still young kids excited about starting bands out there, which is great to see. We're gonna have an opener in Edmonton, Stuka. They're fresh to the scene, young guys who are just anxious to play some heavy metal. So really excited about stuff like that. Always, you know, meeting new friends in the scene, connecting with new people, and it's pretty awesome. We're excited for our upcoming tour to finally get to play. We've got 4 Alberta shows. Yeah, we're gonna play Grand Prairie, Edmonton, Red Deer, and Calgary. So gonna be nice to do a thorough Alberta run.
All I know about your area is snow.
Yeah, it's finally gone. Today was our first like nice day. It was probably like 15 degrees Celsius, which I could convert for you if you would give me
I
the
will just toss it
pleasure.
up on the screen.
Let's go. 63 degrees Fahrenheit. Which is cold still, but it feels very warm up here.
Yeah, once you're used to the colder weather, it's like, oh, this
We
is too
have
cold.
extremes. Like in the summer, it's 40 degrees. It peaks at like 40 degrees Celsius, and then in the winter, it peaks at like 40 to 50 negative Celsius. So we have like a 80, 90 degree variation in weather throughout a 6 month time period. It's pretty extreme.
And touring is not the best.
Yeah, like I was really not excited about touring in the winter until we did it, and it was like, you know what? We had some pretty sketchy situations, but you're just it's all about the shows. Everything in between the shows is just whatever, and, it ended up being worth it.
So 10 plus years in the game, what keeps you guys still motivated to keep doing this?
You know, we're always just one step away, it seems, from being able to do this on a more professional level, and then you level up, and then you're like, "Oh, now we're just a step away from this level, guys. Let's go for it." So, it's just still chasing the dream, man. Still just trying to play shows in as many places as we can, as often as we can. Unfortunately, the only way to do that is to gain popularity, so that's That's the goal, you know?
Yeah.
Just keep going for it.
Yeah, you
Keep
guys are doing pretty good. I will say, like your new video, your latest video for Scars, you're over 100,000 there, and then your Spotify version is also pretty damn high as well.
Yeah, we're feeling really great about that. Thanks, man. Yeah. Feels really good that people are paying attention and they seem to be enjoying it. Feels really good. So if if people are digging it, we'll keep doing it. A lot of heavy drugs, hard drugs, harder the better. Nah, no.
Wrong decade, buddy.
I know, right? Yeah, if only the labels gave us a budget that would allow for that. So basically, the main goal is to make sure that it's catchy. So you got to come up with a melody, and then the lyrics have to serve the melody. That's the way that I found has given me the best result. So you come up with your melody simultaneously. You've got a concept in mind that you want to approach for the song, and then finding a way to make it cohesive that you're, trying to convey a similar thread while also trying to make the words that you pick sound good. So it's challenging. It's rewarding as well. Basically, as far as like the impact of the lyrics, I want people to be able to relate to them. I want them to be not profound in any way, but at least like I want there to be some truth to them, like whether it's dealing with depression, dealing with just being fed up with bullshit and stuff like that. People don't like to talk about that stuff, but everyone can relate to it, so I like to write about that.
You can't sing about like Satan and demons all day long. It gets kind of boring.
Yeah, yeah. Like we do like fiction as well. Like we have a song called Burn, which is kind of like it follows the same storyline as Apocalyptic from Harbinger, where the world has turned to this apocalyptic wasteland and there's this cult of sun worshippers who burn people at the stake. It's just kind of like, just fun, just a fun song. Real quality. And then we like to also write about movies and TV shows and stuff that we enjoy. So we like to pull from pure fiction. We also like to reflect on the world. So trying to decipher as a listener which is probably a little challenging.
That's a nice little fun game to play.
Yeah,
What's this one about? Do 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 do.
exactly. And that's the thing too, is like I've heard from other artists that, they want to hit the nail on the head with what they're conveying. I like to leave a lot of it up to interpretation so that it's maybe a little bit more relatable to the average person where they're like, I don't know exactly what this guy was going through when he wrote this song, but I know that what I'm going through makes sense, when I listen to this song.
Like art is subjective. Everybody has a different take on it. It could mean completely different things to different people, and that's the best part about it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Now let's talk about a big thing about being in a band. Since you've been doing this 10 years, what challenges is it for you being in a Canadian band coming into the States or traveling other international places?
Just paying for work visas is a real son of a bitch. But otherwise I love it, man. The states are nuts. Like each state has its own flavor and when you travel from coast to coast in the span of a month, you see so much of the desert, the mountains. It's all great and I love experiencing it every time. I love hanging out with the locals everywhere. Everyone's got their own little way of behaving, talking. It's really fun. It's great. I love just the culture of consuming in the States. Just everywhere you can buy something ridiculous and I'm there for it.
For the newer bands, how long is a work visa?
However long you apply for it up to a certain point. So if you're on tour from, July to the end of August, and then you're on tour again from October to the end of November, you can apply for a visa that covers that time period. So you don't need two, and you can just go get it done. But yeah, it sucks. It's brutal. I believe the other way around. Americans don't need work visas to come to Canada, but they're a lot more subject to background checks and shit like that.
Oh yeah.
So pros and cons, but it's a runaround.
Yeah, here it's like just having your passport clean is a very good way to get into Canada. I know people had like little misdemeanors that just got stopped at the border, and I've had
Mm,
many a friends band travel with like, oh, we have a fill-in singer for these shows, and we have a fill-in guitar player for this because they can't make it up there.
yeah, brutal. Yeah, like there's a lot of great bands that couldn't play Canada for a long time. I think Born of Osiris couldn't play Canada for a long time. And then one day they were finally allowed back in. It's like, sweet.
Yeah,
But that shit's ridiculous.
yeah. I'm hoping. I know they're talking about like the increasing the visa price here in the states. I hope that doesn't happen because a lot of lower level bands and artists are going to be affected mostly by that. Yeah, if you're selling over like 100,000, a million copies, if that's still a thing, that's nothing for you. But for everybody selling under like 100,000 copies of anything, it's going to be a lot harder for people to get around.
Yeah, basically what would happen in our shoes is we would probably tour Canada very thoroughly a lot, and we'd only go down to the States for the big fish, like we did the In Flames tour, that was well worth the cost of visas. So, we'd have to be more selective, I guess, with what we go down for.
As of this recording, your new record, Kingdom Undone, is a month away, coming out May 26th. Since we have this little bit of extra time, let's do a quick rundown of each track.
Each track. All right, let's go.
Cool. All right, first up is Scars.
Scars is, we're coming out the gate, track one, punch in the face. Um, Turbo was like, "I've got this line, show your scars. What can you do with that?" I was like, let's see." So Ryan and I sat down and fleshed out the lyrics and all that fun stuff, and it was probably the most collaborated track on the record. Like we all contributed to it pretty much equally, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. And by now, most everyone has heard it because it's out. It's the first single.
Yes, it is. Was a lot of stuff written together or separately?
A lot of it was written together. Like a lot of the riffs even were in Ty's brain, and he and Ryan came up with them. Put them to the guitar together. Musically, guitar and drums was Ryan and Ty, and then vocally was Ryan and I. So Ryan's like our guy. He produces all the demos. Some of the songs I write by myself, but then by the time we're demoing them, he contributes a lot of really great ideas to them as well.
Up next is Your Fiction.
Yeah, track two, Your Fiction. This is our breakup song. You could probably guess with who. It is a lot of fun. Like, we have a lot of different ideas that, like, it was going to be two songs. And then we took the best ideas from those demos and made them one song. And so it's got like some genty stuff, some proggy stuff. It's got screams, cleans. It's got this weird section where like everything cuts out except for this synth, and it like sounds like a Tyler the Creator kind of bit where I do like some really different vocals that I've never done before, and like yeah, that song is fun. It's also got Ryan tracked on it, so he actually sings on this record as well. Like he sings a lot of the stuff from Harbinger live, but for this one we were like, if there's parts where it's obvious that we're gonna do them like that live, let's just track you also. It'll make it that much better when we do it live. So the pre-chorus and the chorus is him and I going back and forth.
Nice.
Yeah.
That must have been fun telling him how to sing.
He's been doing it for so long. Like he is a full-blown vocalist. He's actually fronted a different band before in town. Like he's really good.
Up next is the third track, Trust. It's not a Megadeth cover.
On a Megadeth cover, there's no question mark at the end. Basically, I was working with this fella who I didn't know what QAnon was, and every day he had this new great thing to tell me about how Jesus was his savior and Trump was sent by God to you probably know about QAnon and what it entails.
Oh
And
yeah.
then this was all in prime COVID, and so then that became a huge part of his exciting day-to-day adventures. And every day I'd get stuck. We were working in crews. We'd be in the truck from first thing in the morning. We drive to site, work all day together, and go back home. So eventually, it just got to the point where I clicked it together. I was like, "This is QAnon he's talking about. This is hilarious. And then I started being like, but what about this? And you sure about that? And, his reactions blew my mind. Like, there's no gray area with them. If you question anything that they're about, you're a, demon-crat, devil worshiper. It's like, dude, we're in Canada. How can I be a Democrat? And then it just started to really grind my gears that people are getting so brainwashed and sucked down that rabbit hole, and it's so consuming. This all like his whole personality was this, and it was terrible to be around. People are victims of that mentality and getting completely sucked into these conspiracy theories. So that's what trust is about, dealing with that shit.
I really thought that QAnon thing was just an American thing. I was like, it got to Canada? Like, really?
It did. And you know what? The people who are here who are into it, if you say that that's QAnon, they're like, "What's QAnon? I don't know what QAnon is." They don't know that it's QAnon. They just know that that's the thing, That's the truth, baby.
That those wacky Americans were into.
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, they don't go as far as to be like, "Oh, frickin' Mike Pence flashed his hand a certain way and that means this," like there was all sorts of like, you can get real deep into it that way.
Yeah.
But no, there's a Canadian version of that. Yeah.
Dude, I'm so American. All I know is like your prime minister guy. I can't tell you what a prime minister is, but all I know is like you got that
Optimus Prime Minister.
You got that young-ish dude whose dad was a prime minister.
Also a prime
him.
minister. Yeah.
Yeah. All I know about them and the Ford guy. Those are the only ones I know.
Doug Ford, the old
the crazy one. Yeah. I was like, those are the only things. That's the only government people I know. The fact that our old vice president.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I mean, American politics are the ultimate reality TV show, baby.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And Canadian politics is becoming that because they see how well it works down there. Kind of trying to be that here too. Like our premier of Alberta, who's basically the equivalent of a state governor, I think, is just this character who's just, in it for shock value and going for gasps, as they say. So
up next is the fourth track, Ghosts.
Yeah, so this one is basically a couple years back, it was discovered that there were a bunch of mass graves hidden by the Catholic Church run residential schools, which were built in Canada to integrate Indigenous population into, society. And they were mistreated. They were abused to the point of death.
Yes.
And then these deaths were swept under the rug. And recently it's been coming to light just the amount of death. And as news cycles are, people eventually stop talking about it. And we were like, this needs to keep being talked about. So we wanted to address that, in a way that we didn't want to come off as virtue signalers doing it or social media gain or anything, we just wanted to talk about it. So we did.
Commendable. Yeah. I remember hearing about that.
Angry shit, man. It's angry shit.
Yeah. Next up is my favorite song title, Hell Comes Home, which sounds like it should be an Annihilator song, but it's not.
Yeah, we were going to call it Heck Comes Home. Yeah, this one is, my wife and I had something really tragic happen in our lives, and it was really fresh still when we started writing the album. So I needed to vent about it. So just it's a song about being in a situation where everything sucks and you don't know if it'll ever not suck again. It's dark, it sucks, but it came out really heavy, really powerful emotionally. So I hope people can relate to it when they're feeling like everything sucks and it might not stop sucking. Hopefully they can at least find some comfort in that angry song that we made. But yeah, love how it came out. It was a demo that Brendan wrote years ago, like 2018 probably. I didn't even put the lyrics to it until I think the day we recorded it. I was like, I've got this shit I need to get out. I've got this angry ass demo. Let's do it.
Music is the best coping mechanism.
It is, man. Yeah. Yeah.
Up next is track number 6, One More Day. No relation to Spider-Man.
There it is. Yeah. I've got it up here too so I can see what's coming next, but it hasn't been any help. I'm just gonna Uno mas day. Yeah. When we all had to stay home in 2020, we all had to just work our day jobs with no end in sight, no knowing if we were going to tour again. And I was like, just one more day. Just got to make it one more day. Just got to make it one more day. Yeah, I was just really depressed about having to just be at my day job full time with no end in sight, and not being able to tour was really sucky. I just was like, how do I come to terms with this? How do I be okay with not doing music? That's kind of the gist of it. You just got to get through one more day.
Very true. Very true.
And now we're back on the road.
Yay!
Did it.
You just had to stick it in long enough.
That's what they say, baby. Just stick it in long enough.
And then you make a new baby, and it's a new record.
That's right.
Baby number 3 for you. Up next is Liminal.
Yeah, Liminal's fun. So we just, when we were talking about ghosts, touched on the idea of dealing with unbelief and your whole worldview changing. I kind of took the idea of, in Christianity, when you accept God, you're born again, right? So I was thinking, what about if you abandon God? Are you dead again? So that's kind of what it's about, is killing your Christian self and being reborn as your own self. It's like a 2-minute long banger of a track about dealing with coming to terms with the fact you don't believe what you were raised to believe anymore. The word liminal, like liminal space, is like a art concept that I really like. When you're on tour, you find yourself feeling like you're in liminal space a lot, like you're in public places when no one else is, in the middle of the night, and you just get this feeling that you're in a dream, or like it's not day-to-day life. You're in a space outside of your normal life. You're not thinking about time. And so I was like, kind of like, that's kind of how it is in your head when you're dealing with these things that make you eventually turn into a different person. You're still the same, same person, but a different worldview makes you different.
The more you see the world, the more your thoughts change on things.
Yeah, exactly.
Up next is the previously mentioned Burn.
Yeah. So that's kind of just entirely a work of fiction where it's, the post-apocalyptic sun worshippers. And we have a fun little tribute to Rob Zombie. A lot of people will probably catch. It's not like a Rob Zombie ripoff song by any means, but there's a little flavor in there. It's a fun, energetic track that just kind of separates the album into, like, now we're in the back half, and it just like picks up energy again in the record, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Just gotta have a lot of yeahs in it to be a Rob Zombie song. Or a White Zombie song.
Yeah. That's right. There ain't no orgies and UFOs or nothing on this track, but
yeah, the next track is the longest title of the album, of anything on here. It's not totally un-Rob Zombie-ish. Who the Masters Serve? It sounds like I'm waiting for Ty to finish that joke.
Oh, shit. That one was like a bunch of ideas that I tried to string together. I feel like a lot of this song has been so hard for me to articulate in like a description. What it comes down to is most people with good intentions are, unwillingly or not, pushing an agenda for someone with selfish intentions. And whether that be someone who's a politically affiliated, who doesn't know that their party is just being paid by some billionaire to push what he wants to get pushed, whether it's someone who's religious who ends up just, getting on the idea that a lot of religious people aren't worried about global warming, I think comes from them not being worried about the end of the world because that's when Jesus comes back. So I like, and then that idea gets pushed by, billionaires who have an interest in business that isn't in the best interest of the planet. So it's like, it's a whole bunch of ideas that I couldn't really maybe nail down as well as I would have liked to. But at the end of the day, it's about how people with good intentions sometimes end up pushing the agenda of people with bad intentions.
Kind of sounds like music journalism.
Music journalism. Let's fucking go. Yeah.
It's like, we're doing an interview to help promote your record, but it'll benefit us by putting this out on our channel. So
I love it. That's symbiotic. That's mutually beneficial. A lot of people get really worked up and, they're fighting for a cause, and it's like, all right, who are you really serving?
Up next is a 10th track, Bury Me.
Yeah, this one was also a breakup track. It's about dealing with someone who you can't see eye to eye with. They're telling you that they want to work with you, work together towards a conclusion to a problem, but really it just keeps coming back around to how they're right and you're wrong, and stubbornness in that, it ended up working against you, and you actually have now gotten the opposite result of what you wanted because of your unwillingness to work as a team with someone.
It's like almost a part two to Fiction.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a part two to your fiction. And then this was we try some new stuff on this one too. Like we have these really the verses are a lot of drums and bass and like these like different vocal styles, and then we kick in with a heavy chorus, and yeah, we just kind of tried something new with it, and it turned out really great.
Right on, right on. And the last track on the record is Hollowed.
Yeah. This one is, we twist a lot of biblical phrases. It's kind of lyrically the darkness won, the kingdom is undone. It's us being like, stop being fishers of men for your God. It's done. You lost. Death is final, and that's okay. So in Burn, we used takes that Ryan had done for the demo for the original idea done 5 years ago. We liked those takes so much that we actually imported them into the final project, and that's Ryan, the part where it mellows out and he sings about a golden bell, bleak betrayal. That's Ryan singing on the record again. Hollowed, I talked earlier when we were talking about Liam, how he adds a lot of flair. So the outro of this song, we just have this really nasty breakdown, and there's a lot of like just bass firing off in, ways that I think are a lot of fun that, you don't get a chance to do often in a song unless you're making just a really animated, stupid breakdown, which is a great way to end the record because it kind of feels like everything, coming down, you know, the kingdom of, the overall arcing story of the album being everything that keeps you down day to day, these big overarching things that we face, religion, politics, going to fucking work every day, just coming down. So great way to end the record and a lot of fun.
Another little flower for Liam. His bass tone is like, it's really like, I'm still in the era of listening to a lot of albums that did not have very pronounced bass. So every time I hear bass without having to like listen for it,
Yeah.
it's always like a bonus for me. It's like, oh, I just hear it without even having to listen for it.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, more bands should just try that. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. It's awesome, man. Like the bass was a little loud on our last record. You can really fucking hear it without trying to. But on this one, I think it's perfectly mixed in and it's great. And then yeah, the outro, the last song is just nasty with the bass guitar doing some really funky shit. That's every song.
Yeah, cool.
Amazing. I was actually able to articulate with some of them some ideas that I wasn't able to, express as much as I'd like before. So that's nice.
So what else do you guys have coming up besides your little Canadian run? You have a West Coast tour. Is there anything else that you guys can mention?
Album comes out the same day the tour kicks off, May 26th. We're going, yeah, pretty much West Coast, Alberta, BC, down as far south as like Central California, and then coming back up. So yeah, that's the biggest thing we got on the go right now. If you want to support the band, come out to one of those dates or pre-order our record or stream the hell out of it. And we appreciate that very much. And then hopefully we'll have some more exciting things we can announce in the near future.
In the last couple of years, you become a father. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
How do you incorporate being a dad and trying to run a band full time?
Definitely adding an element of stress to the equation. But like It's business as usual. I've always wanted this to work to a point where we could do it more full time, and that hasn't changed at all. I feel if anything, we need to work harder so that we can make it more of a financially feasible thing to do. But still grinding at home when I'm not touring, still fitting home life in with band life, still just loving both aspects of my life. Got my band family and my home family, so it's been awesome, man. Definitely added a new layer of homesickness when on tour, though. Just can't wait to see the baby again when I get home, and then you're home, and then there he is, and he's a month older and bigger and different, and you're like, "Shit," and then, now I've been home for a month and just hanging out, just living the life day to day.
Yeah, being a parent and trying to juggle a band, just another job.
Yeah, exactly. Having a supportive wife who is, for some reason, okay with me doing that, you know, and our support system at home. We've got our parents here, we've got grandparents here, we've got friends, we've got, siblings. We've got a huge support network at home, so that helps a lot.
Right on. You hear that, younger bands? It's possible to have a family and do what you love at the same time.
Just gotta work hard. Just gotta keep going.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but it's worth it.
Well, Jameson, I appreciate your time, man. Thank you very much for spending your evening with Ghost Cult. And yeah, your new
We're not
record.
done. I got questions for you.
Oh, scheisse. All right, go for it.
All right. Original trilogy, prequel trilogy, or sequel trilogy?
Ooh, I I have to say the original trilogy
I like that it took some thought though. Like you weren't ready to
because
just hit that answer.
like the prequel, like honestly, it's more the cartoons that take place during the prequels that
Mhm.
kind of make the prequels more interesting. There's not enough extra stuff during
Yeah, you're not
the
wrong. Yeah.
yeah. There's so much the Clone Wars to Bad Batch. There's so much stuff leading up and happening during the prequels that you're like, wow, this it just gives it there's just so much more there to chew on versus like here's your three movies and get out of here.
Yeah.
You
Like
know?
my one of my favorite things that's happened in Star Wars recently was when the final season of Clone Wars came out and the last, is it 4 episodes coincide with Revenge of the Sith? Like they happen at the same time.
Yes.
So sick. Added so much to that. Order 66, was my favorite moment in like the whole of Star Wars is Order 66. And so like to get a lot more of that. And I love that Mandalorian is bringing in Order 66 flashbacks and
Rebels started with that. Rebels and Bad Batch both had that as well.
yeah,
So you
Bad
need to
Batch big
catch it.
time. Yep.
And
I've been watching
Rebels,
Bad Batch. Yep.
like now I'm into the novels. I was like, I'm caught up on all the shows. Now it's just I gotta read books with words now to like get my fix. That
Oh
some of
man.
those the Star Wars Aftermath books right now are really good. There's a trilogy of those books. The Marvel comics are really good too because they take place during the original trilogy, and there's like here's a chunk that takes place between A New Hope and Empire, and now we're on the next chunk that takes place between Empire and Jedi. So it's like, hey, where's Han? We gotta try to
Yeah.
go find Han. We gotta
I
try to save
absolutely
Han.
have to check that out. Yeah. I gotta
Yeah,
I gotta check that out.
I recommend
Because like
those.
the timelines between the episodes is vague, right? Like it's supposed to be
2 years
what
to
a ye-
5 years.
2 to 5 years. Yeah, yeah, you really don't have like, even Empire, does it take place in 2 weeks or 2 years? How long is Luke on Dagobah, like and then, I mean, the more
Yeah,
you the more you wanna think about it, how long does it take for Dagobah
travel time.
in Interstellar, like, when they're on the planet where every 7 minutes is a year on Earth or whatever the fuck. How it like, maybe that was Dagobah, maybe he had that much time, but for Han and Leia, it was, like, a day or 2 to get to Cloud City. Well, they were also going on without hyperspeed, so it might have taken them a bit that we didn't get to see, but you know what I'm saying.
So what color lightsaber would you have?
Oh, man. Haven't like, just blue, just that classic blue. Love it. My favorite is, yeah, like Anakin, the classic, the one that Luke gets in 4 and loses in 5, and yeah.
I'd be okay with a green lightsaber. But
Yeah, big time.
Mace Windu's purple lightsaber still was pretty badass.
I love that it was Sammy J who was like, "No, I need a color that no one's had yet. I need my own thing." I love that. So sick.
I would still want the hilt to be like Dooku's. I like that fencing style that he does. It just
Yeah,
seems more
yeah.
elegant and like it's barbaric, but less barbaric. It just seems like, oh, it's sophisticated, like on guard.
Yeah, yeah. Skills with a lightsaber. Yeah, that guy's man. Christopher Lee absolutely killed it.
Yeah.
So sick.
Have you heard his Christmas metal records?
Yeah, yeah. Insane, man. That guy was a legend.
Yeah. And he fought Nazis.
Yeah, he lived that life. In the Return of the King extended, when he gets killed, he told Peter Jackson, "This is how it sounds.
When
So
a man
actually,
dies,
I'm
it
gonna
sounds
do it
like
this
this.
way." Yeah, yeah, exactly. Fucking legend, man. So sick.
Jamison, thank you for hanging out with us again, man. Arrival of Autumn, the new album, Kingdom Undone, comes out May 26th for Nuclear Blast Records.
Hell yeah, man. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, man. May the
Dude,
force be
always.
with you.
May the force be with you, sir.